Paul, you got a new coach, man.
Yeah, man, I got a Hodge on, man. I love this dude. He is truly awesome.
That's the biggest Paul smiled since what happened with West Virginia.
Well, man, the way Darren DeVries left, obviously my favorite pastime is to hate Darren DeVries now. And the way his family talked to me, which is a whole nother subject, I guess they were upset that I put some stuff out there about Tucker that I wasn't supposed to or that they didn't want me to. But at the end of the day, answer my text. Let me know why you left so I can tell people. They chose not to do that. Anyway, Ross Hodge is now in town. Maybe everything I do is I don't know if that was the right thing to do or not in those situations. Obviously, sometimes emotion gets the best of us. But I am glad that Hodge is in town. It's funny. Right now, he's got 2 jobs, literally. He spoke about it today in an interview with one of our people here locally. He's preparing North Texas for a Final Four game in the NIT during the day. And
which I love, by the way. I love that coaches stay and finish out the commitment. I think if you're going to be a man who's going to go and lead a program somewhere else, you got to finish the message you've been preaching to the players of the school you're leaving.
Yeah. We got one of those, and an assistant on our staff that I'll let Paul finish. I have thought on that too, actually. But
Kansas would have Jim Harbaugh if they would have let him coach the bowl game Stanford was in.
Wow. And at night, he's putting together a roster for West Virginia. Talked about that openly today. He said he can focus. He said it'd be the same if he was at North Texas right now, because the analogy he used was like, if I was at North Texas right now, I would be coaching this team during the day. And so we're so deep into this NIT, we would be building the roster for North Texas anyway. So it's really no different, just focusing on West Virginia. So that was I like the way he put that. Hadn't thought of it that way. He sold a lot of people, and there's been a big PR deal come out about him from Ren Baker. We've seen guys like Fran Fraschilla. Obviously, all the coaches around the conference. Scott Drew's come out and said things about him. Several really good coaches say that he's a good coach, an elite defensive guy. They've had a Houston-level defense at North Texas. Now, this is not at Power 4 level for going on now 5 years now. So, and he's been the architect behind that. I think that's where they're going to lean into.
What number candidate was he on the most desired list? Because I do know you guys struck out on a couple.
He was probably from a fan's perspective.
Fans or organization, either one.
Ren Baker, we'll be really honest about this. Ren Baker went all the way out to New Mexico, met Richard Pitino, and didn't offer him the job because he wanted his guy, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing, Paul. How did they whiff on not pulling our good friend up at Utah State back to West Virginia?
That was crazy.
Yeah, because here's the reason, because that's a Bob Huggins disciple. Literally, that's a Bob Huggins disciple, So you got to think he coached for Huggins for over a decade, with Huggins for over a decade. So,
but Calhoun had such great success both at Youngstown State and obviously at Utah State this past year. I was stunned that he re-upped with the Aggies.
He wanted the job, and they had a top 20 class at Utah State, of all places, in basketball. So
Logan
obviously
Rockton,
doing a good job there. But the defensive metrics is a huge reason. One of the big reasons he didn't get hired. He's never had good defense. Ren Baker is sold on that you have to have a good defense to win. I agree. And listen, like I say all the time, Ren Baker's literally, I don't even think he's ever missed on a basketball hire all the way back since you go to Ben McCollum, Darren DeVries. I mention him all the time. Mark Kellogg, obviously on the women's side, is doing amazing. He's Grant McCaslin. We hired him at North Texas. So obviously, no, he was there. I'm sorry. Apologies. He didn't hire McCaslin, I don't think, but he was with McCaslin. So yeah, but he's done a good job. So we're trusting it. But we do know that this was, he acquiesced, right, with the Rich Rodriguez situation. He said, okay, you guys are going to war here. You want me to hire Rodriguez so bad. Fine. I'm not doing it for the basketball job. That's what happened.
It's about. We haven't talked about McCaslin yet. What happened with them?
They lost.
Level's not here.
That was like that was one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen. I kept watching, thinking, how are they going to win this? And they found a way. Florida did.
The refs. Blame it on the refs, because why not? You can't.
They also missed 2 free throws. I guess that's the
massive.
Yeah,
they left 4 points on the board.
That was bad. Paul,
front end of 1-1.
To wrap up the West Virginia basketball conversation here, I saw a couple of West Virginia beat reporters, fans tweet out information that donors aren't on board all the way with the hire. But instead of giving money to basketball, they'll just now they see Rich Rodriguez in even higher standing than they did a month ago, and they want to take that money and deliver it to football. Is that the case right now?
Oh, that's definitely the case. I do think some guys have come back to the table for Ross Hodge, which is great. And look, at the end of the day, it's going to be in the university's hands come July anyway with revenue share. So that's kind of almost a non-point in some ways, but NIL is still going to matter. We know that. So I think in this situation, they're both going to get something, but definitely Rich Rod. I mean, he just had, like I said, today on Three Guys for the Game, which is a local podcast with our play-by-play guy Tony Caridi, talking about just what they're going to do. They're cutting down the roster 105 like a lot of people are, and they're going to go they've already got 60 new people this year, first year in the first year. They're going to have at least 12 to 15 more transfers coming in after spring. So it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that, and we can after we get to Houston women's basketball coach, which I know everyone's very excited to talk about. There are NIL agents are trying to broker deals right now because once that revenue sharing hits with universities, these agents aren't going to make near as much money. So they want to land that $3 million deal today so they get their 20% and can go home and be fat and happy. We can get into that here in a bit. Parker, you have a new women's basketball coach, and I know we all are very, very excited.
Is your name Molly? Molly? Is that her name?
Molly. No, we got a guy named Matthew Mitchell. Again, like I said, he's a pretty talented coach. He got women like Ryan Howard and stuff like that to Kentucky, the SEC Coach of the Year twice. He kind of stumbled into Houston. Everyone was kind of surprised that he was a candidate. I don't think people knew he was even looking to coach anymore after being been retired for a few years. And I will say, Houston feels like, and not that all of y'all follow girls basketball. Why are you putting that up while I'm talking about this guy, man? But Houston does kind of have this same kind of could it be the next big thing? They hadn't been very good the last few years, but they do have a lot of talent in the area, not unlike other sports. Houston metro area has got a lot of athletes across a lot of things. But if you look at where the top SEC programs, top Big 12 programs pluck their girls from, it's typically Houston. A lot of kids.
You're missing the number one point. He watched Kelvin Sampson be a retread, come around to Houston, have major success, and says, "Hey, if he can do it, I can do it."
Well, he didn't have a lack of success in Kentucky, and he didn't leave in the same kind of way. But I do think there's something to that. I think the other thing too, though, is that whether it's Title IX or just goodwill, the Houston women get all the same facilities and perks that the men do. It's actually a really well set up program with great facilities, great swag, gear, deals, all of that. It's pretty good setup. I think it could turn around pretty quick.
Just follow the Kelvin Sampson model, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Hall of Fame coach. Yeah, just be a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah.
Do the defense. Have a defense. Is what you should do. Houston's it's weird, man. You've got access to local athletes that are blue chip. I mean, if you put a team together of only kids from Lubbock, you're going to suck. But if you put together basketball or football, only Houston area, that's a very good team. The problem is, and I've mentioned this, Parker, I think to you, and I know Cam and I have talked about it with a few people, the number one show in town any given season would be the Astros or the Rockets or the Texans or the damn symphony orchestra, right? There are so many things in Houston that are going on that the university gets pulled down by. In Provo, there's just BYU. In Houston, there's so much happening outside of Cougars basketball or football or women's basketball. It's got to be tough to get a kid to stick around when they may not be the number one show in town, no matter how good they are.
Well, and I do think when you look at the crowds for Houston basketball, or if you go back to 2015-16 when they were nationally relevant in football, winning Peach Bowls and stuff like that, they've shown people show up for a winner. But what you're saying is completely true. There's just too many other things to do when they're not. And it is a unique problem in this conference to Houston. I mean, you mentioned BYU, but there's Waco, there's Lubbock, there's Stillwater,
even
there's
Fort Worth.
Morgantown. Even Fort Worth is not the same thing.
No.
It's a unique problem for Houston. And I guess you could also argue, is it Arizona State is outside of Phoenix, right? Kind of, sort of, but I don't. Anyway, it's really the next closest thing, though.
Tempe is a lovely, lovely town.
Right next to Scottsdale. A lot of room to get in trouble over there. They draw up. That's a place you want to stay. I can tell you, I've been to Houston a few times. That's a place I want to take a vacation every few weeks. Like, get me out of the city limits for a second or two. Tempe, you could be there for a long time.
But there's a Houston pride, though. Like, H-Town, like, people love representing Houston. Yes. And frankly, as someone who will remind you I was born there too, like, people will tell you that they're from there very proudly. It's also got that going for it. We got the number one recruit in Texas.
You got that going on to you?
Now what?
Your name is blocking it, by the way. We couldn't see it.
Hey, Paul, you got to raise up a little bit there.
Wait, which one of his names? They both say down there, Paul.
Chest brother. No,
Paul, you
directly underneath it.
Paul, you got to lift up.
It's even worse.
Paul, lift. You got to lift up.
You just stand up and you'll be
no, you still can't.
There we go. West Virginia
That's
pride.
better. That's better. All right.
Over the heart.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
That was done. That was done with a what do they call it? A staple. It was done with a staple and chess pieces.
What do you call it?
A staple and chess pieces.
I'm gonna need
melted
pause
chess
here.
pieces.
How does that
I'm
work?
proud. I have this tattoo on my backside. Just kidding. I have this.
Melted chess piece. Yeah. How does any of that work? What you just said.
Well, in jail, the toilets are steel, right? So in the cubby hole where the toilet paper usually goes, they just, because you can get anything in jail, obviously, lighter. You take a lighter to some chess pieces, you get soot, which is like an ink. You mix it with some ashes from a cigarette or whatever. And then you take, it's not sanitary if that's what you're going to ask. Right. And then you take a staple that you have sharpened on the ground.
I thought it was worth an ask,
you attach it to a pen or a pencil, and then you just poke. It's a pretty painful thing.
Let the art happen.
Yeah. Old Josh.
Honestly,
Josh. Can we talk about Josh?
Well,
Josh.
we're talking about Houston pride. Like, Vernon Maxwell has a distaste for Utah and the Utah Jazz. Like,
if y'all don't follow Vernon Maxwell on Twitter, he will randomly at like 4:00 on a Tuesday tweet out trash talk about the state of Utah. It is fantastic.
He loathes Salt Lake City.
You said we were talking about Houston. I believe we were talking about tattoos.
I know. I'm just saying.
you're interrupting the conversation, Parker.
About the art of prison tattoos.
How about Josh or this Josh guy?
Correct. You think Josh is hosting the most successful podcast for a certain sports team? I don't think so.
So here's what Josh used to do in Huntington. Now, I also have to preface this by saying that I was not in a good frame of mind during these days. But so
and you
what he
use
would
these
do,
stories as lessons. This is something to be a lesson.
Right. Yeah. So what he would do is he would get high on meth, and then he would tear apart bicycles, spray paint them, put them back together again, wipe off all the paint, and just do that over and over again every single day. So I would always know where he was at. And if I ever needed a bicycle fixed, I'm pretty good at that.
Wow.
Yeah. That is sick. This guy's an artiste.
And that's how Mel Gibson came up with The Passion of Christ.
Nick Maravitz, we go to you, sir.
I'm in shock. You never know when Paul will strike, and it's amazing every time.
Top 5 Paul episode for sure.
Nick is like 13 too.
What's crazy?
Podcast.
This is life lessons.
What's crazy is John. We always think it's Spencer, but really Josh is the closest to this guy. Like, no doubt.
Yeah. Josh is an artist.
He just takes things apart, puts them back together. The man is making art.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh,
he was a different kind of guy.
Artiste, the artist.
Different kind of guys. It's well put, Paul. That's well put.
He had a sister named Kit Kat.
What's Kit Kat up to?
I have a crazy story about Kit Kat. I really do.
Can we keep it in the show?
It's a really bad one. Like, it's really bad though. We got held at gunpoint. We were in Huntington on 9th and 11th, and which is just a really bad area in Huntington. and we were walking together. She was a woman of the night. And what I would do when I was homeless in my addiction is I would make sure that they got places safely because I had soft spot for them.
Nice.
And in my mind, I felt like I was in a good thing at the time. And so we had to go to a convenient place that we were both going together. And we got a ride right at the very end. We could have walked, but somebody was going that direction. And this person happened to have robbed that person. We didn't know. We were in the van while he went in to go speak with this person. And so obviously they came in 5 or 6 deep and pulled us out of the van, put us on a tarp, stripped us completely naked, and held us at gunpoint. So there's another lesson for you.
What's the statute of limitations on the story? Where were we at?
I don't know any other names. That's the truth. The only reason we got out of it, though, was she was like, "That's my baby cousin." That's what she kept saying to the guy that eventually knew her. So that was the only reason we got out of it.
Wow, that's wild. She knew one of the dudes?
Well, yeah, we were going there to see this person, obviously, because we were on the streets, homeless, doing bad things, right? And so we, the initial meeting, I guess you could say, where the guy got caught doing whatever it was he did, I guess for stealing or whatever they were beating him to death for. Like, I looked out the window and he was like, that Red Rover where like you circle people up holding hands or whatever. He was in a circle of these guys and they were just shoving him back and forth. And like, as he would get to the next guy, they would just pistol whipping him, and I was like telling her like, this is not a good situation for us because we're with him. And then they turned to the van and realized we were in there, and I got a gun to the head. Where the phone at? Where the money at? Where the phone at? Where the money at? So I said, I'm homeless, man. I don't have a phone or any money, and they didn't believe me. So they stripped me.
Wow. Well, this is true crime. This is what you get out of the podcast. Is sometimes
Jake's viewers are going to love this episode.
They're going
to have a lot of questions, I feel like.
Right. That's what you want. Paul, I think now probably
come back next week.
One of the 6 guys that robbed you or tried to rob what they thought you had. They probably are turning on the old YouTube now, sitting down, doing something nefarious, going like, damn, that's that guy. Like, they're like, they
recognize the tattoo, obviously.
Right.
That was pre-test.
I'm thinking they're like, that sounds a lot like something I did.
Do you remember that time that we circled that guy up?
Could this be me?
And credit to
I didn't think I was getting out of that.
Like, was it that
one of the most successful podcasts of the College Channel is Locked On Mountaineers or West Virginia? I don't know.
West Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
West Virginia.
You don't even know?
It's a mixed bag. Half of you are the mascot. Half of you are the school.
I just thought Locked On Big 12 would know the name of the people he has on his shows, but it's okay. You don't care about it.
Well, he just puts Mountaineer Paul. He puts Mountaineer Paul.
He puts Mountaineer Paul for both spots.
He started this Locked On BYU, and then BYU threatened to cease and desist letters from our Locked On Cougar. So I don't know what.
We all love SIDs. Everybody, ELE. Everybody love SIDs.
Love everybody.
Yes, this is a testament to Locked On giving Paul a shot, and now Paul's life is
Crushing it
than ever.
Fantastic.
I've made the most money I've ever made in my life working for Locked On. That's the truth. Yeah, I tell people that all the time.
Go, Paul.
What would be not very much money to some people is a lot to others. So I'm not rich by any means, but like some of the checks that I've gotten, I was obviously like, well, this is a lot better than what it used to be. So I stay grateful for it.
But that's why this is awesome.
And we are lucky to have you a part of this squad, man. You always bring so much energy and laughter into it, man. And you make a lot of other people's days brighter with the stories and your viewers as well. Like, we love having you here, man.
Yep. It's getting mushy.
And that's coming from the North Carolina guy too. So there you go.
That's my parade.
You know what I hate? I've been sent that before by
BYU.
I hate that.
I've got a ton of stories like that too that are really like sobering.
And once a week, Paul, we're going to get to them. I guarantee it. We'll always
don't in the show. I like how you shut me down.
Until you cease and desist.
Mountaineer Paul, I'm just going to say this. There are certain returned missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints who will be able to commiserate with you on having a gun put at their head. So I think are going to be with you.
They do that. I reached out to Paul one day on Twitter and said, would you ever work for Locked On? And who knew? Who knew what that would become? And
wait, actually, you started it?
Yeah, and Paul and I talked. Paul had a successful.
And now you don't even know the name of his show. What a story!
Correct. Paul had a successful deal. He was making decent money with another company who was helping him out. And the question was, would it be worth it to go to Locked On? Already had a pretty good thing going, and it was because Paul's show was taking off. I also, Nick Maravets, also, you're welcome. Hello. And sadly, Cameron Stewart was from my pipeline.
I never met Drake.
Your coaching tree.
I am. It's a couple other people.
Never met him. Never seen him.
I am part of the Jake Hatch line. It's a couple of
Oh!
but it does. Jake is one of the people who starts it for sure.
BYU fans, I'm sorry. I
did.
I'm
I
in
was
the
on a
Garrett
call.
Ross line, actually.
Oh, jeez.
What coaching tree is
I'm the
Derek
Garrett
Johnson
Ross
from?
coaching
Is the
tree.
question.
Oh yeah, Derek's got to be
Mysterious.
that guy.
The Baker tree.
No, I don't know whose tree I am. I just got reached out to by some older
Doesn't know
guy,
who's walking
talent
around, does he?
recruiter.
Josh Neighbors.
Tom. Josh Neighbors. Like a good neighbor.
Yes, thank you, Paul. It's funny to me. Sometimes the Locked On shows will find a new host. Like, oh, look, who's hosting Locked On Mississippi State? It's an Auburn fan. Oh, yeah, that's Zach Blackerby. There you go. See one of those come down the pipeline every.
I locked on Hoosiers appearance a few weeks ago. Yeah.
leave Mike Gittins alone. Locked
I was
on
gonna say
treasure.
I was gonna say Drake.
and that is Christian Rao, lifelong
Zach's
Wildcats fan. Christian Rao, everybody.
Yeah,
Please.
Zach's gonna actually cut this part himself.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with David Locke this week. Not to flex, by the way. Not to flex. I was on the phone with David Locke, and I mentioned Cam by name. I was like, yeah, and Cameron Stewart of Locked On Baylor's doing really good work. I said that. I was mentioning a couple things, and later in the conversation, he brings back up and he goes, yeah, and we're excited to have that Baylor guy that you mentioned earlier. And he just kept
Oh, damn.
Yep.
He got the school right, though. He got the school right.
Yep.
Hey, Parker, does Houston win it all?
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains.
I think we've got a pretty good shot, man. Get a few days to prepare for Duke because you get Duke with days to prepare. Mm-hmm. And that's a big thing, obviously. They're really good. I don't mean to say they're obviously really good. They got the number one pick in the draft and probably another lottery pick as well.
Right, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think Houston's defense is strong. We've seen a lot of lottery pick teams or teams filled lottery picks not win it all, right? I think Houston's pretty strong defense, like nothing they've seen so far. And then in the championship game, Florida's good too, but a rematch with Auburn is not something I'm scared of either. I feel good about the weekend. I also, though, know you don't play best out of 3 or best out of 7. You just play one game, and if someone rolls an ankle or gets in foul trouble, that could be all she wrote, so.
You remind me of the West Virginia team that played Duke in the Final Four, 2010, with John Shire and those guys when they just absolutely.
Is that when Bob Huggins tried to make out with Deshaun Butler on the court?
Yeah,
I didn't look at it like that, Derek.
That's exactly what it was, Derek. Yes.
Oh, just
Put
overlooked
tongue
the
in
fact that
his
Deshaun
best
Butler
player.
blew his knee out in the Final Four. Jamal Shedd style blew his knee out in the Final Four.
Nice.
They just get the ball.
Bringing up other people's painful memories because of that. Like,
Take that, Parker.
Yeah, man.
Well, I was already making.
Hope that makes you feel better about your matchup. They got smoked by Duke. Good luck.
Yeah,
John Shire
by
was
Duke
the
and their best player got hurt. Imagine that.
Good luck. Yeah.
Paul, you guys had the best current basketball coach in that game. Joe Mazzulla is better than John Shire, so you can hang your hat on that.
He said with the second Boston out of the day on right there.
We were this close to offering him before he went to the Celtics.
Really?
What could have been? Yeah.
I wonder what he would have picked.
He wouldn't be able to talk about the town as much anymore. That'd be really hard on him.
I don't know if he would fit at West Virginia, honestly, anyway. Even though he played there as a great player, personality-wise, I don't know about that one. Yeah. He's pretty harsh.
Took down John Wall and Boogie Cousins, Kentucky.
He's a great coach, though.
That, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
Well, this has been, and it always will be. Once again, congratulations to Molly Miller on being hired at Arizona State. We can't wait to have you in the Big 12 Conference. It's a joy for you, your husband, and your kids to all.
I like how you picked the one with the ring showing like that. You did that definitely on purpose.
Hold on.
Look, the guy, he's got some brains to him. That's quite a sizable ring.
You are what you eat.
Jake will be holding that up when I remind him that Utah played a basketball game later in the season than BYU did.
There we go. Okay, we're good. All right. Congratulations to Molly Miller. Thanks to all the guys for being here for the show today. This has been and always will be Baylor We Are Bears. The Locked On. No, that's not what it. Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande Squaw. To do the ad reads. Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. How do I stay awake all the time? From work to the other work to even more work, it's 5 Hour Energy. And the best part is you can find it wherever you go. Oh, convenience store, 5 Hour Energy. Oh, gas station, 5 Hour Energy. Oh, I'm on the internet, 5 Hour Energy. With 5 Hour Energy, daylight savings time has snuck up on you. It matters not. Get your energy back. And you're up late watching the NCAA tournament. Matters not. 5 Hour Energy. With basketball season going as late as it does almost every day, head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up today. Stay energized. That is 5 Hour Energy. Use 5 Hour Energy today. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is where I go to make money. FanDuel's great because March Madness is here. The FanDuel app is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on Houston to win the national championship at plus 400 right now. Throw $100 on it, win 400 because they're going to win the whole thing. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use. When I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. Visit FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. FanDuel.com to get in on that college hoops action all tournament long. Visit FanDuel and do it today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown. Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup. Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free. It's your team every day.